Good morning, Mom. I explain my answer number 1. Operating leverage is concerned with the relationship between the firm's sales revenue and its earnings before interest and taxes, or operating profits. When cost of operations such as cost of goods sold and operating expenses are largely fixed, small changes in revenue will lead to much larger changes in EBIT. Financial leverage is concerned with the relationship between the firm's EBIT and its common stock earnings per share. On the income statement, you can see that the deduction taken from EBIT to get EPS include interest, taxes, and preferred dividends. Taxes are clearly variable, rising and falling with the firm's profits, but interest, expense, and preferred dividends are usually fixed. When these fixed items are large, that is when the firm has a lot of financial leverage. Small changes in EBIT produce larger changes in EPS. Total leverage is the combined effect of operation and financial leverage. It is concerned with the relationship between the firm's sales revenue and EPS. Number 2, the firm's operating break-even point is a level of sales necessary to cover all operating costs. At that point, earnings before interest and taxes. The first step in finding the operating break-even point is to divide the cost of goods sold and operating expenses into fixed and variable operating. Changing cost and the operating break-even point is sensitive to a number of variables. Fixed operating cost, the sale price per unit, the variable operating cost per unit. Refer to equation to see how increases or decreases in these variables affect the break-even point. The sensitivity of the break-even point sales value to an increase in each of these variables summarize as might to expected and increase in cost tends to increase the operating break-even point, whereas an increase in the sale price per unit decreases in the operating break-even point. Number 3, operating leverage results from the existing of fixed costs that the firm must pay to operate. Using the structure presented, we can define operating leverage as the use of fixed operating costs to magnify the effects of changes in sales in the firm's earnings before interest and taxes. Measuring the degree of operating leverage is a numerical measure of the firm operating leverage. It can be derived using the following equation. TUL equals percentage change in EBIT divided by percentage change in sales. Whenever the percentage change in EBIT resulting from a given percentage change in sales is greater than percentage change sales operating leverage exists. This means that as long as TUL is greater than 1, there is operating leverage. Number 4, financial leverage results from the presence of fixed financial costs that the firm must pay. Using the framework, we can define financial leverage as the use of fixed financial cost to magnify the effects of changes in earnings before interest and taxes on the firm's earnings per share. The two most common fixed financial costs are interest on debt and preferred stock dividends. These changes must be paid regardless of the amount of EBIT available to pay them. The effect of financial leverage is such that an increase in the firm EBIT results in a more than proportional increase in the firm's earnings per share, whereas decrease in firm's EBIT result is more than proportional decrease in EPS. Measuring the degree of financial leverage, the degree of financial leverage is a numerical measure of the firm's financial leverage. Computing it is much like computing the degree of operating leverage. The following equation presents one approach how obtaining the DFL. DFL equals percentage change in EPS divided by 2 percentage change in EBIT. Whereas whenever the percentage change in EPS resulting from giving percentage change in EBIT is greater than percentage change in EBIT, financial leverage exists. This means that whenever DFL is greater than 1, there is financial leverage.